19 August 1966, the Dinh Ba River, south of Saigon. Petty Officer Second Class Billy Wayne Machen, SEAL Team 1, point man, armed with a standard rifle, spotted a Viet Cong ambush and threw himself into the kill zone to save his squad. He died before extraction reached the river. 4 years later, 9 April 1970, a six-man SEAL patrol surrounded by a larger VC force in Ba Zuyen province broke encirclement with belt-fed suppression and danger-close airstrikes, some landing 20 meters from their own position, and walked every man out alive. The weapon the second patrol carried weighed half as much as an M60. Only 4,000 were ever built. Almost all of them have since been destroyed. The Mekong Delta was not a battlefield. It was a drainage system. Chest-deep canals cutting through mangrove roots, salt water corroding everything metal, suspended vegetation snagging gear and slowing movement to a crawl. The Rung Sat Special Zone southeast of Saigon had a name among the Vietnamese that translated simply, the Forest of Assassins. Navy SEAL platoons, 14 men split into squads of 6 or 7, inserted into it by patrol boat, Mike boat, or sampan to run night ambushes, prisoner snatches, and Phoenix program kill or capture missions. They expected to be outnumbered on every single one. The M60 machine gun weighed 23 pounds, fired 7.62 NATO in non-magazine compatible belts, and handled like a fence post in a flooded canal. The M16 could not sustain automatic fire. A SEAL point man armed with an M16 had one job in an ambush: break it in the first 3 seconds. And one problem: the rifle could not do it alone. Petty Officer Second Class Billy Wayne Machen, SEAL Team 1, proved the cost on 19 August 1966. As point man on a reconnaissance patrol along the Dinh Ba River near Na Bay, Machen spotted the Viet Cong ambush before it triggered. He threw himself flat and opened fire to spring it, absorbing the kill zone so his squad would not walk into it. Roger Moscone and Nick Benshowel carried him 500 yards to extraction. He died en route. His son Sam was born 1 month later and never met his father. Camp Billy Machen, Nyland, California, bears his name today. Machen's death was not an anomaly. It was the pattern. The teams needed a point man's weapon that could deliver machine gun fire at a rifleman's weight. One man had already built it. Eugene Stoner was born in 1922 in Indiana, served as a Marine Aviation Ordnance Technician in the Pacific during World War II, and by 1961 had already designed the AR-10, the AR-15, parent of the M16, and the AR-7 survival rifle at Armalite. He left for Cadillac Gage, convinced executives Howard Carson and Russell Baker to fund a modular weapons family, and brought in engineers Jim Sullivan and Bob Fremont. Sullivan later recalled the pivot. The owners of CAD Gage wanted a 5.56mm model, so Bob and I designed the Stoner 63. What emerged was a single stamped metal receiver that could be configured 6 different ways: rifle, carbine, automatic rifle, light machine gun, medium machine gun, fixed mount. The SEALs wanted one configuration, the Commando. 15.7-inch fluted barrel, 100-round belt box hung beneath the receiver, right-hand feed, and a weight, roughly 11.7 pounds empty, that was half the M60. A SEAL could carry the gun and 600 to 800 rounds of linked belt ammunition and still move through chest-deep water without drowning under his own load. The caliber was 5.56 by 45 millimeter, the same round every M16 in the squad already fired. One ammunition type for the entire patrol. But the Stoner fed it from a belt at 700 rounds per minute cold, climbing past 1,000 when the adjustable gas port was dialed wide and the gun ran hot.
A tunable cyclic rate. 3 Stoners in a 6-man squad put roughly 2,100 rounds per minute downrange.
the same automatic fire volume as a full Army platoon's 3 M60s. Lieutenant Commander Michael Walsh, SEAL Team 2, 5 Vietnam tours, Phoenix Program Advisor, framed it simply. If you had 6 stoners and 4 M60s in a 14-man SEAL platoon, you've got company-sized firepower just with machine guns alone. That got you home. Chief Gunner's Mate Barry Enoch would prove Walsh's math in a mangrove clearing in Ba Su Yen province. That story is coming. But first, what the gun could do when it worked, and what happened when men trusted it with their lives. 6 March 1968, Tan Din Island, Operation Bold Dragon 3. National Archives photograph K46398 captures a SEAL team operator assaulting a Viet Cong bunker complex, the lead frogman holding a Stoner 63. One of the earliest official photographs of the weapon in SEAL combat use. The Stoner was clearing bunkers in the Mekong before most of the Army had ever seen one. 7 weeks later, the firepower math Walsh described played out in real time. Lieutenant Junior Grade Richard Marcinko, SEAL Team 2, 8th Platoon, Detachment Alpha, led a squad 2,000 meters through uncontested VC terrain to set an ambush on the night of 14 May 1968. 3 separate groups of Viet Cong arrived. Per Marcinko's Silver Star citation, the squad was surrounded by 85 armed VC for over 4 hours. Marcinko called artillery to stand by and directed airstrikes within 300 meters of his own position. When the VC began retreating toward the Cambodian border, he attacked a 43-man element. Final count, 24 VC killed, 41 wounded, 6 automatic weapons captured. By a single squad. Marcinko himself ran an M60. His automatic weaponsmen ran Stoners. Then came the night the open loop pays. 9 April 1970, Long Phu District, Ba Su Yen Province. Chief Gunner's Mate Barry W. Enoch, SEAL Team 1, 3 Vietnam tours, plank owner of the teams, was senior advisor to a combined U.S. and Vietnamese SEAL patrol targeting Viet Cong infrastructure leaders. Enoch spotted 6 VC attempting to evade. He rushed forward, exposed, and killed 3. Then the jungle answered. B-40 rockets and automatic weapons fire from a force that vastly outnumbered the patrol. Surrounded. His radio shot to pieces. Enoch shifted positions under fire, rigged a backup frequency, and called in fixed-wing and helicopter strikes. Per his Navy Cross citation, some strikes landed as close as 20 meters to his own position. He used the airstrikes to carve an exfiltration corridor to the river and led every man out through the encirclement. Not a single American loss. The tactical logic was not courage alone. It was acoustics. 3 Stoners firing at over 1,000 rounds per minute each, dispersed across a 6-man patrol, created a sonic and ballistic signature indistinguishable from a platoon-sized element. In darkness, in mangroves, the rational Viet Cong interpretation was, "We are engaging a platoon." SEAL teams exploited this deliberately, spacing their Stonermen to widen the footprint, to sound bigger than they were, to buy the seconds they needed for air support to arrive. Years later, Enoch offered his own verdict. All of the SEALs that carried the Mk-23 into combat realized just how much we owe to Mr. Stoner. The Viet Cong called SEALs the men with green faces, for the camouflage paint that was all they could see in the dark. Per the National Navy UDT SEAL Museum, the VC feared them, put bounties on their heads, and treated them as a high-priority threat. No captured document naming the Stoner specifically has surfaced in open sources. But SEAL oral history, Walsh, Enoch, Master Chief Kirby Horrell of SEAL Team 1's Foxtrot Platoon, consistently reports the same VC interrogation response. Contacts with SEALs described as continuous thunder, the enemy assuming platoon to company-sized opposition. The VC adapted by refusing to engage small American elements at night without confirmation of size. But the gun that created that thunder demanded a price. The commando barrel's short length left marginal gas pressure when the action fouled. Early left-hand feed models threw ejected cases back into the ejection port, a jam SEALs called spin-back. The 1967 SEAL Team 1 command and control history stated that early problems were eliminated to a certain extent by the proper indoctrination of personnel on the gas system. Translation: the stoner worked only because SEALs cleaned it with an obsession bordering on ritual. And then there was the cost no amount of cleaning could prevent. The Pope accident, 29 April 1968, when a vibrating boat engine worked the takedown pin free and bosun's mate First Class Walter Pope's stoner began firing on its own. Cadillac Gage engineered the fix, a screw-together pivot pin locked by an internal spring detent. SEALs called it the dead man's pin. The Army's 1970-71 XM207 trials judged the system too maintenance-intensive for the average infantryman. Nixon's withdrawal killed urgency. Cadillac Gage ceased production in 1971. Only about 4,000 Stoner 63s were ever built. The genealogical line did not end. The Stoner 86 became the KAC Stoner 96, then the KAC LAMG, production ready in 2016, a direct descendant. The SR-25 that Eugene Stoner finalized just before his death in 1997 became the SEAL Mark 11 Mod 0 sniper rifle. C. Reed Knight Jr., who partnered with Stoner at Knight's armament, remembered him simply, "Gene was a neat guy. He was a genius in his own right." At Rock Island Auction in May 2025, a Cadillac Gage Stoner 63 sold for $411,250. Most surviving SEAL Stoners never made it to auction. They were destroyed in the demilitarization wave that followed the war. Fewer than 100 of the original 4,000 survive in any form. Walsh, who carried the Stoner across 5 tours, said it plainest. Once you got used to it and you fell in love with the weapon, you never really carried anything else. 4,000 made, almost all destroyed. The men who carried them remember the weight, the sound, and the cleaning. Always the cleaning.